Well, this happens to be American Craft Beer Week, so I thought it'd be a great time to visit one of the many great craft breweries in the area, Von C Brewing in Norristown. And it's a real pleasure now to be joined by the brewery's co-founders, two of them anyway, Jay and Eric von Czoernig.
Welcome.
Guys, how are you?
Checking us out. We're good. Unfortunately, our brother Rick couldn't be here today, but he's here in spirit.
Jay, your family has a long history in the beer business. We'll get to that in just a minute, but when did you guys open this great brewery here in Norristown?
So we signed the lease the March before the pandemic really got crazy. So we did the whole build out during the pandemic. We are able to open our doors June 5th of 2021.
I mentioned the history. Your family's brewing goes back some 160 plus years, and it's connected to a very well-known brand in the Philadelphia area. Tell us about that.
It is. So we are 6 generations removed from Christian Schmidt, who came and started a brewery in Philadelphia in 1860. Our father was a master brewer. Our grandfather was a master brewer. Our uncle was a master brewer. Again, dating all the way back to 1860 to Christian Schmidt, who came over to Germany to start the brewery.
Eric, a lot of breweries are pretty small in size, but this place is huge. You got a lot of space here.
Yeah, it's 16,000 square feet.
And you have indoor area and outdoor and storage area, the vats.
Yep, we have an outdoor beer garden, and then our tasting room is,
2,500 inside, about another 3,000 square feet outside.
But tell me more about the history, Jay. How did it, come from Schmidt's to what it is now, Von C?
So I wrote the original business plan for Von C Brewing back in 1993. It was my senior project at Northeastern University. We knew we were going to do it. We just didn't know exactly when we were going to do it. We were fairly close to opening the brewery in 94. And then life kind of got in the way, other careers, family. And then we kind of got back in, dusted off the old business plan, and here we are today and opening a brewery.
I got to be honest, until about 6 or 7 years ago, I was a pretty boring beer drinker, the basic cheap light beers out there, till a friend of mine convinced me to try a bunch of different craft brews. And before long, I was hooked. What I love are the many varieties of beers that are out there. You got lagers and Belgian whites, ales, pilsners, porters, stouts, IPAs, double IPAs. And every brewer, it seems, puts his or her own spin on it. How much fun is it coming up with these new concoctions?
It's awesome. Our brew team has done an incredible job with all the beers that they do, and we're lucky enough to have Adam Brzetti on our brew team, who was the last master brewer of Schmidt's, and he's helping us revive some of these older recipes like the OG Pills, which is a family recipe dating back to 1860. Our Prior, which is a beer that was brewed in Norristown, right down the street here, from the mid-50s to late 70s. So he's helping us revitalize those and keeping a close eye on Michael Froelich, who's our master brewer, but they've done an incredible job.
You mentioned the OG Pills, which I'm putting up on the screen right now. How does that connect to Schmidt's? Is it the same recipe? Did you adapt it and make it more modern, change it in any way?
That is the family recipe dating back to 1860. Still helpful watching an eye of Adam Brzetti, making sure we're doing it correctly. But it is as close as you can get with today's ingredients to the recipe back to 1860.
Eric, what's your favorite beer?
The OG is my favorite. That's an easy drinking beer. It's the style I like.
I had it when I was here in January, liked it, ended up buying a 4-pack a day or two later. Back in my
that's what we like to hear.
Hamilton, New Jersey area. One of my local shops had it, so it was great to find that and see it on the shelves. We'll get back to this chat with Von C's Jay and Eric in a second, but there's an important update about what we were just talking about, OG Pils. That legendary Philly lager has taken the gold medal in the American Pilsner category at the 2023 World Beer Cup competition. There were more than 100 entries in that category, and Von C's OG Pils took the top prize. Pretty impressive. Now back to our interview. Well, Jay, the weather is warming up. You have a great beer garden here. What's the summer going to be like for Von C?
Summer should be good. That's, again, the outside beer garden always does quite well for us. We have food trucks Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When the weather permits, cornholes outside, live bands outside, and a bunch of couches and chairs and tables and cornholes. So it all's good.
As I show a little video of all the beer vats here, what is the brewing process? How do you get an idea for a beer, and how long does it take to actually make it and get it out there?
So it really depends on what you're trying to make. We have a 20-barrel brew house, meaning every time we brew, it's 40 half kegs worth of beer, about 640 gallons. We have 7 40-barrel fermenters and 2 40-barrel brights, so we can double batch into our fermenters, giving us capacity. For us, obviously, if you're making an ale, you're looking at about a 2-week time span between when we're going to brew, fermentation, and then packaging. If we're doing our lagers, depending on the lagers, it's anywhere from 6 to 12 weeks, depending on what kind of beer it is. our Helles Lager, 100% German ingredients. It's going to take that full 12 weeks to lager. For us, it all starts with the grains. Grains will get milled in our mill room, get dumped into the mash tun. From the mash tun, it's going to go over to the kettle and get boiled. Some hops will be added. Then it ends up in one of our 7 40-barrel fermenters. At the end of fermentation, we'll transfer it to the 2 bright tanks, 2 40-barrel brights. And from there, it's going to go into either cans, 6-ounce kegs, or half kegs to go in bars and restaurants.
I am not an IPA guy. A lot of people love IPAs. Is that the top seller here in IPA, or is it the OG Pills, or what?
So we can basically tell the average age in the tap room by what is selling the most that night. It is either between the OG Pills or the Walk On Clouds. If it's the Walk On Clouds, obviously there's a little younger crowd in the tap room that night. If it's the OG Pills, it's a little older crowd in the tap room that night. But we're super proud that the OG Pills, a American light lager, you know, is really kind of one of our flagship beers.
Yeah, I'm a lager, Belgian white kind of guy primarily, so those are among my favorites. Well, it is American Craft Beer Week. How has craft beer, become so popular over the last 20 years?
It's great. I mean, as you said before, hey, I was a kind of boring beer drinker 6, 8, 10 years ago. You can come into these breweries like ours and all the great ones in Pennsylvania and surrounding areas and get, beers that were almost long lost styles, whether it's a Grisette, whether it's a Vienna Lager, whether it's a Helles Lager, whether it's a German Pilsner. You weren't able to walk into a bar back in 10 years ago and find those things. You were lucky to be able to find a Guinness. So the fact that the craft beer revolution has brought that on, and it's so good quality now because of how many there are, that it's an incredible thing to see.
Well, I'm drinking an Uncle Jerry's Wit right here. Who's Uncle Jerry?
So my wife's uncle was very, very kind to us, and any of the blue floors that you see out in the brewery that are sloped, he does a lot of construction in New York City and sent his crew down here. They excavated and sloped all of the floors, and luckily for us, all he wanted was a beer named after him, and his 2 favorite beers were Allgash Blue Moon, and we made him the Uncle Jerry's Wit.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, it's terrific. I really like it.
And the likeness is very intuitive. He actually looks a lot like that.
Nice. Again, as I mentioned, it is American Craft Beer Week. Celebrate appropriately and responsibly, folks, maybe here at Von C in Norristown. Thanks so much for doing this, Jay and Eric. Oh, 2 other things. Shame on me for failing to discuss this with Jay and Eric. But when you go to Von C, be sure to check out the wall of the men's room. Not sure if the ladies' room has a wall like this. I didn't go in there. But the men's room back wall is an end-to-end collage of vintage Schmidt's beer logos and advertisements and pictures related to the end of Prohibition and other fun beer stuff. It is a must-see. Separately, Von C will celebrate its 2nd anniversary the entire weekend of June 2nd through the 4th with new beer releases, live music, and all sorts of fun. Again, my thanks to Jay and Eric. Their brewery is definitely worth checking out. It is Von C Brewing in Norristown, Pennsylvania. I'm Chet. Cheers.